A plastics factory in Unicoi County is under fire after some employees were trapped and killed there during the flooding.
Our Courtney Allen is in Irwin, Tennessee tonight. She talked to an employee who was rescued about what happened that day.
The road to the plastics plant is closed, but we did talk to an employee who says he was swept away by the floodwaters and was able to get to the top of a semi-truck to get to higher ground. He believes this all could have been prevented if the company acted sooner. This was the moment Jacob Ingram was rescued by a helicopter, waiting as others were hoisted up.
Only 5 of us made it.
He says he was with coworkers from Impact Plastics Friday. They'd been at the factory that day when Hurricane Helene floodwaters came through.
I actually asked one of the higher-ups, and they told me no, not yet, that they had to ask someone before we was able to leave, even though it was already above the doors and the cars and everything else.
At least 2 employees were killed. Another 6 and a contractor are still missing, according to Impact Plastics. So the company had released a statement saying that employees were dismissed when water covered the parking lot and adjacent road and the plant lost power.
No, the plant lost power, and we were still told not to go home or nothing. We were still there for about 15 to 20 minutes after the plant lost power.
Ingram believes those 20 minutes could have saved lives. Impact Plastics says most employees left immediately, but some remained on or near the premises for unknown reasons. So you're saying you're one of the last people that saw them?
She smiled right at me.
The owner of a nearby manufacturing facility
been rescuing people, man. They've all come down here.
Went to Impact Plastics to help get more workers out after he'd already sent his home.
I was there yelling at them to come. She was talking to her boss.
Have you heard anything from the company, from management since?
No, I haven't heard a thing. They have not reached out, none of us survivors, to make sure we're okay, nothing.
The company says it's organizing a recovery center for employees. In the meantime, Ingram and others who've lost jobs stood in line at Irwin Town Hall Tuesday to get help with unemployment. Impact Plastics says that senior management was the last to leave the facility, and they sought out emergency responders to help those left behind.
The TBI now investigating that plastics factory in Unicoi County. Several workers got trapped. Some died during Tropical Storm Helene. Employees tell our Courtney Allen tonight they were not allowed to leave work in time to get to safety.
We've now talked to the family of one of the missing employees. She says her cousin called saying the water was reaching them at the factory, but by the time they were allowed to leave, it was too late. Karina Alonso hasn't heard this laugh since Friday.
She was so loving.
And the last time her cousin was seen was in these photos. 29-year-old Rosa Andrade is on the left as floodwaters began to rise around Impact Plastics.
She just said that when they let them out, it was already too late because cars were moving away with the water. And that's where she just lost it. She knew that maybe she wasn't going to be able to get out, especially if she doesn't know how to swim.
She doesn't know how to swim?
No.
Multiple employees are dead. Others, like Andrade, are still missing. And the factory, Impact Plastics, is now being investigated by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. District Attorney General Stephen Finney asked TBI to review everything that happened Friday to see if there are any potential criminal violations.
What responsibility do you think that Impact Plastics has?
A lot of responsibility.
The company would not do an interview with us, but said in an email they'll fully cooperate with TBI's investigation, and they're conducting an internal review.
You haven't heard anything from them?
Mm-mm.
Tuesday, we asked Governor Bill Lee about the situation and what responsibility he thinks companies have to their employees during severe weather like this. This was his response.
There's a lot unknown about what unfolded on that day, and I suppose we'll learn what is unfolding in the future. And I can't speak to particulars about a certain building, but it's tragic.
Alonso says the family, including her cousin's 2 young children and husband, are hoping for closure and accountability.
How do you feel like your cousin was treated?
Hey, another employee, I could replace them.
But she's not just another employee to you?
Nope. None of them are. They were all so important.
The owner of Impact Plastics, Gerald O'Connor, said in a statement that he is, quote, devastated by the tragic loss of great employees.
We are hearing from the family of a supervisor killed at the plastics factory in East Tennessee.
They claim the owner of that factory was not one of the last to leave the plant, and as he has publicly stated.
Our investigator Courtney Allen is with us right now. Courtney, you sat down with the family and their attorney yesterday.
They tell me that 55-year-old Johnny Peterson helped get at least 10 people out of the plant and onto the bed of an 18-wheeler truck. That truck flipped over. Some survived and were rescued by a National Guard helicopter, but Peterson did not. This was the last video Johnny Peterson sent his daughter, Alexa. Timestamped 12:57 p.m. Friday, September 27th. Alexa says her dad took these videos in the bed of an 18-wheeler truck before Hurricane Helene floodwaters flipped that truck over. She says his body was found 2 days later.
My anger is, it's just anger. I'm angry.
That anger began as Peterson texted Alexa updates throughout the morning while at work. He was a supervisor at Impact Plastics. This picture, taken at 11:23 a.m., shows flooding inside the factory. He told her in preceding messages the company had not shut down the plant.
The entire situation is just so infuriating.
The founder of Impact Plastics, Gerald O'Connor, released this video statement last week.
The flood of September 27th took from our Impact Plastics family some great employees. One was a personal friend of more than 30 years of working together.
Alexa believes O'Connor is referring to her father.
I don't think Dad considered him a friend. I think he considered him a boss.
She says her dad worked there for 35 years.
I personally would not be treating my friend or my deceased friend's family the way that Impact has been treating everyone.
Alexa says O'Connor did call her after her father's death.
He said that he was sorry to hear that Dad died and that he wanted me to know that Dad was there helping people, that Dad did not leave with them when he had the opportunity to.
Gerald O'Connor said in that phone call to you that he and others left before your dad and other employees left the plant.
That is correct.
That contradicts what O'Connor said in his video statement.
After checking to make sure everyone was out of our plant and to rescue important files, I was one of the last people to leave the plant.
Attorney Alex Little is now representing the Peterson family.
What we are starting to find out is that a group of management, which is a family-owned company, they all kind of left out one way, the back, and the workers were sort of left to fend for themselves.
Little says Peterson stayed at the plant to help save others. This comment on his obituary says, quote, "I am here today because of Johnny. We were trapped in the building and Johnny found us a way out." Text messages between him and his daughter that morning detail the final moments before he was swept away. Johnny Peterson texted this video to his daughter Alexa the morning a flood hit Impact Plastics where Peterson worked. It was taken at 10:44 a.m. That's an hour and a half after the National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning for the area, saying people should move to higher ground.
He said that at that point they better shut the plant down, but they had not.
Then Peterson sent this photo of the flooded break room. Subsequent text from him read, "Can't get out. It's bad, Lexi. I love you all." She asks him to answer her calls. His response, "I can't," in his last text to her at 1:30 p.m.
The whole thing feels a bit like a fever dream. It doesn't feel like he's actually dead. It doesn't feel like this flood actually hit.
Alexa wants to know why, at the first signs of trouble, did senior management allegedly not let workers leave? A new lawsuit filed this week alleges it all came down to business.
We understand, again, from witnesses that the company was behind on some of its orders. They had parts they had to get out the door that they were behind on.
Attorney Alex Little is representing the Peterson family. He claims Impact Plastics and its owner, Gerald O'Connor, put lives in danger to fill an order. Plus, Little alleges despite Impact Plastics being in a floodplain, there was no evacuation plan in place.
If you can't keep your workers safe in the middle of a disaster, no matter how big that disaster is, you don't have business running a factory like that.
We found Tosha's investigated Impact Plastics several times since the company was founded in 1987. Most recently in 2010, Tosha found 4 serious safety violations regarding working spaces and more. The company's paid thousands of dollars in penalties over the years. Tosha says the inspections date back decades and some standards may have changed.
I'm Gerald O'Connor, founder and president of Impact Plastics.
The law firm now representing O'Connor did not comment on those previous violations and says O'Connor's concentrated on working with official agencies to review what happened on September 27th. Impact Plastics is now explaining its side of the story. In a response to the lawsuit filed this month, Impact Plastics says management never told anyone they couldn't leave. Focusing on Peterson, the response says Peterson guided Gerald O'Connor, the owner of Impact Plastics, and other members of management out of the factory to safety at nearby railroad tracks. Then Peterson, quote, went back through the flooded parking lot to where other Impact employees had congregated. They were ultimately swept away. Alexa previously told us her father went back to save others.
I don't think that he would have been able to live with himself to have left those people there and not tried to help everyone get out.
Impact's response says Peterson's decision, quote, was made voluntarily and in the absence of any direction or request by any of his superiors. Therefore, Impact was not responsible for his actions, and that Peterson's comparative fault was, quote, failing to exercise reasonable care for his own safety.
It's been more than 2 months since flooding from Hurricane Helene killed 6 workers at a plastic plant in East Tennessee.
But WSMV4 investigator Courtney Allen uncovered the factory still has not reported a single workplace death to the state.
Courtney joins us live outside Tosha, one of the state's agencies investigating.
When there is a workplace death, it is state law to report that to Tosha within 8 hours. Impact Plastics did not do that. Family of workers killed want to know why.
Well, I know Christmas is not going to be the same without my mom.
That's what Karina Alonso's 10-year-old nephew recently said to her.
It does break my heart.
His mom is 29-year-old Rosa Andrade, one of the Impact Plastics workers killed after flooding from Hurricane Helene hit the factory in September. Your cousin was the last worker found.
Yes. A whole month later.
Andrade's body was found October 30th, 33 days after the storm. A total of 6 employees died, yet Impact Plastics has not reported any of those deaths to the state. What does that say to you?
Honestly, it makes me feel like he didn't care about his workers.
We asked the attorneys representing Impact Plastics and its owner, Gerald O'Connor, why the deaths have not been reported. They did not respond. We do know the initial news release from the company on September 30th said management expresses sympathy for employees killed during the historic and devastating floods at its facility. But O'Connor said in a video statement the following week, no one actually died there.
To our knowledge, no one perished while on company property.
Tosha said that's part of its investigation, whether any deaths happened at the facility. The maximum penalty for failing to report a workplace death is $7,000 per violation.
Even if they get, a violation of whatever amount, it still doesn't bring them back. It still doesn't bring my cousin back.
Families whose loved ones were killed at Impact Plastics last fall continue to grieve.
They say they haven't heard directly from anyone at the company since the flood, but as WSMV4 investigator Courtney Allen uncovered, families say the company did send them fast food gift cards.
Maria's Tracy, Impact Plastics is accused of not letting employees leave in enough time to escape flooding from Hurricane Helene. The company denies that, but families tell me it's what the company sent them after that added insult to injury.
We lost the backbone of our family.
The backbone of the Mendoza family, Bertha Mendoza, was killed after flooding from Hurricane Helene hit Impact Plastics in September.
We're just trying to pick up pieces.
Her son, Guillermo, says Bertha worked at the East Tennessee Plastics Factory for several years. And when the company sent his family an envelope with his mom's final check...
And then it also had some McDonald's gift cards.
$100 worth of gift cards to McDonald's, Walmart, and Pal Bucks, another fast food restaurant in the area.
Well, your mom died, but, go get a burger.
What did that say to you?
I guess in plain words, just the value of human life. I guess the whole, it happened, so here's a little snack.
Surviving employees like Robert Jarvis say they also received the gift cards.
I was shocked, and it bothered me. That's how they treated us, what they thought about us.
Class action law firm Milberg is representing Jarvis, the Mendozas, and other families who, according to attorney Luke Widener, got the gift cards too.
It was a slap in the face.
Attorneys for Impact Plastics and its owner, Gerald O'Connor, have not responded to our request for comment.
Obviously, we're very upset.
Guillermo says his mom and dad would have celebrated their 39th wedding anniversary last week.
We're trying to find how, just how to move forward.